Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. So, I don't know, could you guys see this? It's about 4:45. It is a 6:15, 64.8 degrees. 19 degrees Celsius, 73% humidity. It's kind of a dark, damp day. Today is Friday. Let's see, I worked the last couple of nights and I kind of got a deal cooking. I don't know, could you guys see that? They're just beginning to light up. Right. It's one of those solar Harbor Freight things. Anyway, Craigslist last night, I had a few minutes at work, so I took a quick look at it, and a guy had a Sears 9 horsepower snowblower for sale, and he indicated in the ad that it had a thrown rod. So I went to go take a look at it today, and let me go around. I mean, this is it. He the story on it is, everything has a story, right? He had bought this thing new, and he didn't have that much time on it. He has the book, gave me the book, and everything. I'm not sure if you can tell what year it is from that. Guy had a blacktop driveway, like mine, with those paving block retaining walls all around it. So it had no rocks. He said it never hit a shear pin or anything. So inside is pretty good. I think it's 28 wide. Once again, 9 horsepower. Right. Throne rod. It's got a Tecumseh on it. It can't be all that new, because Tecumseh's been out of business for a while. I know they went out of business, and yet there was still Tecumseh's going on things. I guess that they had quite a bit of inventory out there. It's a shame, it was an electric start. He said he took it out of the shed and he fired it up and he drove it to the driveway, and he painted it. And this is new. He just he just slapped Rust-Oleum on it where it was getting a little bit of surface rust. And after he painted it, he changed the oil, and it was full of oil. And he says he went to fire it up, and it was seized. He brought it there. It seemed to be hotter than he expected, but it was warm out, so he said, well, it's just a little hot. He turned it off, he painted it, and he went to restart it, and he says the engine was seized. And then he says he rattled it back and forth on the crank and managed to break it loose. He started it, and it immediately threw a rod. So the engine's toast. I had this off, and it only has a single shaft drive, right? Some of the Tecumseh engines had a double shaft coming out of the engine. One ran off the cam, which was kind of a backwards turning shaft that ran the drive wheels, and the other one, the crank, is what drove the auger and the kicker and all that kind of stuff. So he wanted $100. I asked him for his best price. He gave it to me for $75. My plan and hopefully the shaft size is the right size. My plan is to smash a 6.5 horsepower Predator on it. It's not quite 9 horsepower like it's got, but to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure that Tecumseh was 9 horsepower. So I'm going to smash a 6.5 horsepower Predator on it, and I'm going to call it good to go. Right, it came even with the little thing for taking that out. So $75 snowblower from Craigslist. That's one thing. Second thing, I got some fresh gas. I got to put preservative in it, and I want to mark this tank as preserved gas and start keeping a little better eye on what gas is how old and junk like that. So that's item number 2, and you can see I got the book with it. He also threw in this friction wheel. I guess you take the drive pulley apart. There's 2 halves, and you kind of smash this friction wheel on there, and you put it back together again. Back in the old days, you used to have to replace the whole thing. And lastly, got a new mascot. He's a full-size skeleton. He came, I don't know if you're familiar with Odd Jobs. I don't know if you could see that either. But he was $50, minus 3/4 from Odd Job. So he was $12. And once again, he's about as tall as I am. So I got me a nice skeleton for $12.50, right? Yeah, I got up early because I wanted to close this deal. Once again, that's 28, maybe 30 inches. I think he said it was a 28. It's bigger than my old one. 8. My old one was I think it's a 24. The MTD, I showed it to you guys. As a matter of fact, the reason why I bought the gasoline is I want to get some preservative into that gas. Get a little, I also put a little sea foam in, just a splash of that to make sure. And this is also premium. So I do all that, and I'll get it preserved up, and I have to put it in some of the equipment to get the equipment ready to grind through winter. All the leaves are down, right? I mean, you guys could see the trees are all skeletal. So winter really is gonna be here eventually, though it's supposed to stay warm for the next throughout the next 10-day forecast, and that gives me a little bit more time to deal with this horde out here. Right? Imagine if I had to clear this driveway with this whole horde sitting around. It wouldn't be much fun. Alright folks, a short video. I'm also going to post, you'll see 2 videos. One is about my my breaker box. I spoke to my buddy Tim, and Tim Close says every breaker box has, you know, 2x the amount of breaker, twice as many breakers if you add up all the amperatures together. And even if you figure, you know, like a 20 amp breaker is only 20 amps on one leg, you actually need a second 20 amp breaker to put a full load on both sides. But even given that, he said most breaker boxes have twice as many breakers if you add the current up as they should. And he says that's not that big a deal. He says the little breaker box, and guys, let me know if there's something that I'm wrong about here, or he was wrong about. He says the little breaker box, if I feed it with a 50, obviously I'm going to have 20 for the heat pump, 30 for an arc welder that I never use. He says additional breakers could be put in there. It's just that if I'm arc welding with the heat pump running and those additional breakers running, I can end up popping the 50 and lose everything that's on that little box. And I'm like, true, but whatever I put on that little box would probably be more or less garage related, and I'll probably be arc welding when I pop it, if I pop it. And I'm going to notice pretty quickly that the lights go out in the garage, or the arc welder's out, and I'll have to go and reset it. Quite honestly though, my plan is to never arc weld if the heat pump is running. I can't afford to let a spike go from the arc welder to the heat pump and take out some circuit board that I'm going to have a difficult time getting my hot little fingers on to replace. So we won't be letting that happen. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and remember to get out there and enjoy all your days. Okay, folks, take care now. Bye.